No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Hey, it's Jose Galison. You're watching the No Way Jose podcast. This is The Morning Dump. It's where I hang out with you guys. We fucking shoot the shit. We look over the news of the day. Maybe sometimes some things a little bit old. We do a little bit of reading together. It's kind of our hangout, reading the news on the old toilet. Make sure you guys give me the old thumbs up if the sound's coming through today. We got Robin is a brat, saying what great timing has had my morning dump. Well, good. So that's kind of the whole shtick here. Very racist. Good morning, my favorite retards. Morning tards from Doctori 420. What up, faggots from Robin. It's nice to have you guys with me. If you guys haven't noticed, there is no Raven. Raven lied. See, we got thumbs up. We got sound. We sound good. I lied. No Raven. No, I'm just kidding. I guess you could say technically he lied, but I don't know. Like about a half hour before he said that he wasn't gonna be able to make it. Yesterday he had said he would. So it is what it is. We're still pressing on. Make sure if you do see them go live. I'm not sure when Top and David are planning on going live, or if they're doing or if he's doing a timeline cleanse instead, or what the deal is. But if you see them go live, tell him, hey, what the fuck, dude? Just say that. He'll know what you mean. Well, it's good to be here with you guys today. While we're waiting for more people to roll in to enhance the experience with more people in the live chat, let's go ahead and pay the bills. We do want to remind you guys that today's episode was brought to you by Nadeau Shave Co. If you're tired of the razor burn, the irritation, those ingrown hairs that come from those multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. Return to the traditional shave. You can shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard. The single blades give you a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue gives you the one traditional safety razor pictured here and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. That puts you out about $75. That's to shave for the entire year. Let's be real, it's probably going to last you a lot longer than that, but if you're one of those people who shave on the regular, shave every day, it may not. And if that's the case, you may want to consider the Quarter Shave Club. That'll put you at about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got body, hair, and face soaps and shave soaps as well. Highly recommend those. Smell good, feel good. It's also a COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born out of refusing the mandate. This is why the only reason this company exists in the first place. Use Jose for 10% off your entire order. Let them know I sent you. Support those that support us and support liberty. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the content. Let's see what you guys have to say. Everyone's saying good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, so I think it's a salute, right? And the streamer thing, the salute thing, yeah. Another don't know what that means. 15 minutes, but they'll be 15 minutes late. Okay, I'm assuming maybe you're saying that's when they're starting in 15 minutes. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started on news. Get to see what's going on. See what the latest is. I have some updates for you guys today for some of the stuff that we've been following on the show. Luigi Manion, he was perp walked. I believe this was yesterday? Yesterday. So around noonish yesterday. give or take. They perp walked him. They had Mayor Adams walking him all the way to the car. He came out in a helicopter. I mean, this is obviously this reminds a lot of shit like the Oklahoma City bombing. All right, let's watch this. I don't know. There's nothing really. I don't think there's anything too important here, but it is weird, the royal treatment. But I mean, I guess this was a high-profile thing. But let's just watch it, just for shits and giggles.
Federal murder through use of a firearm, a firearms offense as well for using a silencer and muffler in the alleged murder, as well as 2 stalking charges as well. His newly retained attorney, Karen Agnifilo, suggested that federal charges in this case would be overkill. I just want to note, you see New York City Mayor Eric Adams not far behind Mangione there. Again, a very large law enforcement presence. This was an incident that sparked worldwide attention as Mangione was able to get away soon after the murder, clearly in what was a calculated move, as well as investigators finding key details in the search for him. That book bag in Central Park full of Monopoly money, one interesting detail. I believe Bryn Gingras.
All right, yeah, I mean, that's it. Just him walking. I mean, it's a little weird, but I don't know. Not that I've watched a lot of perp walks, so I don't know how bizarre this is. All right, we got another one to follow up on the BlueBeam. What's going on in BlueBeam? This is from Luke Rutkowski. It's a video. I guess there supposedly was radioactive material that went missing recently, which that has been an angle some people have been taking with this. Based off of just things like Reddit posts and stuff. I mean, nothing really solid until I guess this that was one of the theories going around, that these drones are working for the government, looking for some sort of radioactive material somewhere for some reason or another, because we're, I guess, about to be under attack or some shit. But, all right, let's watch this video. I don't know if we'll watch all of it, but all right, let's see what they have to say.
Information has not been forthcoming, and it's this lack of transparency, in my opinion, that's doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories online.
Do you have any idea what it could be, or which side it could be, where it's coming from?
Yeah, I can tell you what it's not. We know for a fact it's not little green men, and more than likely it's not a foreign adversary, because they would be able to figure out how to turn off the blinking lights. These drones are huge. We had a mayor yesterday on the call with the White House telling them that he had 6-foot drones hovering over his house, yet they continue to tell us we don't know what we're talking about. It's misidentification. Certainly there's some misidentification probably going on, but I could assure you that we are seeing drones in New Jersey all over the place.
All right, so Bethany Frankel, I know she's not like, the New York Times, but she says that she has like some kind of contact at the Pentagon, and that it has something to do with radioactive material in New Jersey. What are you hearing?
So here's what I know. I know that we were told by our state police that we have assets over our critical infrastructure. Now, depending on your point of view, that's either concerning or comforting. I think it's comforting because it's probably us listening and watching. We also know that we have drones that are flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. What might they be looking for? Well, potentially, we're aware of a threat that came in through Port Newark. Maybe that's radioactive material. There was and there is an alert that's out right now that radioactive material in New Jersey has gone missing on December 2nd. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and was empty. So
okay,
potentially
wait,
we're looking
stop
for
right
that.
there, Mayor, because that's very important information.
I mean, it seems a little fantastical to me, but I guess anything is possible. But
And that came from a credible source.
That came from the U.S. government.
And so it's missing?
Missing.
And they think it's in New Jersey, or it could be anywhere?
It was lost in New Jersey, in transit. And again, this is just an example of what I think that we're sniffing for. I think we do have the assets that can go up and fly around and sniff things, which is why we're not seeing the uptick we used to see in Belleville anymore. It's kind of moving, but we're seeing alerts that it's happening now in Pennsylvania.
And that's right about the time that the drone sightings began, right?
Yeah, drone sightings began about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so when you take a look at this, if this information is indeed credible, why wouldn't the government say, it's us?
That's the crazy part about this. We've gotten very little information. Even yesterday on that call with the White House, literally mayors were told, you guys are seeing things. There's no credibility to this. We have one mayor, like I said, had drones over his house. I mean, we're no longer going to stand for not hearing the truth. I mean, our state government is failing us. They're not getting the answers from the federal.
I'll give it to them. This does seem like the most credible reason, or the thing that makes the most sense. I mean, the schizo in me goes, oh, this was, what did they fucking they planned this and stole or lost conveniently some radioactive material. That way they have an out if their op doesn't go as far as they want, or that way they can layer their ops. So there's differing explanations for depending on how schizo you want to go with it. Because, I mean, to some extent, I still am of the belief that, like, this could have been something that was just triggered naturally when this popped off. Maybe a BlueBeam op has been sitting in the wings for a while. It's just a matter of waiting for the right thing to tick it off. So maybe there was some sort of truth to this, and they just used it for an opportunity. Like, well, we're gonna have a bunch of drones, so why not up the hysteria for BlueBeam? See, maybe we can get some drone regulation passed through. Maybe we can get the people worked up. Who knows how far we can take it? Maybe we'll full on get these people fucking freaking out about aliens. They don't know to what, like, it's one of those things that I don't feel like they probably know until it's time for it to kick off. Or this could just be that this is really it, and people just work themselves into a tizzy, and it was completely organic. It's hard to tell. Let's keep going. But I don't know. This is kind of probably the most plausible explanation so far.
Government. And even though yesterday they told us that there's nothing to see here, today there's a top secret briefing going on in Congress. Well, what are they being told that we weren't told yesterday?
Real quick, did you know yesterday when you were on that call about this missing radioactive activity or merchandise, or did you know that this morning after the call?
I was made aware of it yesterday morning. I did raise my hand. We weren't allowed to speak. I did raise my hand, was not called on to get that question answered.
So apparently it is concerning. Even the president-elect, who I'm sure gets some kind of briefings on things, he says he's not going to his home in Bedminster, right?
Yeah, I listened to him yesterday. He no doubt gets the same exact briefings that President Biden gets. He says our government knows. He says our president knows. And he also ended with saying, I'm not going to be in New Jersey this weekend.
So what do you want to know? What do you want the government to tell you and the general public?
I want them to be clear with us. I want transparency. I want them to say these are our assets. There's no need to concern about what's flying. The question should no longer be who's flying these drones or who owns them. It should be what they're looking for. Tell us they're ours. Tell us that they're protecting us, and tell us what the threat is.
Yeah, I mean, all pretty clear-headed. Assuming this is the case, it's yeah. All right, let's pop to the chat, see what you guys have to say. See Nephilim Murder Crew in here saying good morning. Just update the Retards Digest to reflect the proper link. Okay, bye. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is something that they're doing over at Nephilim Murder Crew. I don't know if there's a link somewhere or what. I don't understand it at all. Apparently, they have some sort of essentially a viewer's digest. Like, I don't know if you guys remember. I'm assuming, I'm just picking this all up from context clues. I'm assuming that this is something along the lines of kind of when we used to, everyone would have cable type deal, and can have the viewers digest, I think is what they called it. And so it would be like have all the different things on different channels throughout the week or whatever. So I'm assuming that's what this is a play on it. Retards Digest. And then so probably I'm assuming things like Timeline Cleanse, this Nephilim Murder Crew, all the different streaming people that are kind of tangentially connected to this community. I'm assuming that's what's going on there. Maybe she can correct us in the chat at some point, or give us more information, or drop links or whatever. Because whatever, I'll bring that up on the screen if we gotta. Everyone's saying just got the notification. Sorry, I'm late. It's okay. You're here. It's all good. It was medical waste, is what Doctor 420 says. I don't know if you're referring to the radioactive stuff. If it was medical waste, then yeah, that probably means nothing. I mean, I don't know. Like if it's medical waste, like leftovers from like chemo or something, then I don't know enough about this sort of shit, but I doubt you can make a fucking dirty bomb out of some leftovers from chemo, but who knows? Maybe you can. Good morning, fellow dumpers. Good morning, Xerox. So sick of the drone BS. Yes, I have one more for you though. I love that we have a Google Calendar for all retard fan-based podcasts. Yeah, I guess a Google Calendar, I guess. So I was told we making fun of a gay on today's show. I don't know. No, not today. Maybe I still have it saved in my bookmarks, like bookmark folder for the show. So yeah, it'll be. I think maybe eventually I'll cover that. I don't know, or maybe wait for him to embarrass himself again when it's more timely. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll get into that today. I do have. What you guys see by the title, obviously says with Raven. Raven was supposed to be here today, and I found a pretty dope thread on essentially why Anne Frank is fake. So that'll be something I think that he's supposed to come back. He's coming on Monday. Is what he DM'd me. He said he couldn't make it. He'll try to come on Monday. So I'll probably have one on Monday. And we'll probably go into that Anne Frank is fake thread, so we can do a little bit of big brain with a little touch of the pee pee poo poo, because I mean we tie it into fucking Holocaust denialism. So yeah, it'll be a fun time. Make sure you guys show up for that. Good morning, Jose from Great Pill. Good morning. It's just me doing it. LOL. Reader's Digest. Yes, there you go. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Everyone. Link in Twitter DMs. Jose's fans are called dumpers. I guess that's what we're going with now. Unless you guys come up with a better name, I'm good with dumpers. Oh, I thought Arcane was about. All right, everyone's saying hi. Yeah, and then Great Pill saying Anne Frank is a Jewish Helen Keller. Yeah, that bitch couldn't see shit. All right, well, I guess I have a message from, should I have it? There we go, fucking, you see that? You see some fucking random, I thought that was real. That was one that fooled me. I thought maybe I knew her. And it was like, nope, clearly a fake. Bot, bitch. All right, what do we got here? Sorry, I didn't mean to DM our previous conversations. I don't think there's anything interesting in there. Share this tab. Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Okay, sorry, guys. I was trying to advertise for this thing, but yeah, I guess a Google Calendar. I'm too much of a boomer to know what I'm looking at here. So, yeah, this is a thing that exists, guys. I guess it's useful. All right, let's keep it moving. I was trying to advertise for your shit, but I don't know what the fuck this looks. I just got hired by Matt Rife. Nice. Hell yeah, dude. That's dope. By the way, I need to get back with Matt Rife. I'm sorry. He sent me over one of his thingamabobs, and I haven't had a chance to check it out. It's been like a month. I need to fucking hit him back up and say thank you. But I literally, when he sent it, it was like right when my mother-in-law died and a bunch of shit went on. So it was just a lot of stuff going on in life. And we weren't trying to like, well, let's try with this vibrating thingy and see if this helps our life improve. We had bigger fish to fry. So I'll have to get back with him, follow up. Let him know. I'll have to do the woo-woo, whatever the fuck this thing is. I don't even know how to use the Rife thing, but it'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll find out if it is just snake oilsman salesman shit. Who knows? Maybe it's real. Maybe it'll cure cancer. All right, I got one more thing for you guys on the drone front. Here's NYPD finding a huge drone in Brooklyn belonging to research and product development company Amagy, which I guess this could be another explanation. Is some research company and Amagy. I guess let's Google them real quick. See what they produce. Amagy is introducing ammonia as Amagy. All right, what the fuck? This is a researching product company. Amagy. Their thing is trying to make ammonia energy. Okay, I just looked them up. That's what their thing is. That's their big move, is introducing ammonia as energy. They have some sort of way to transfer ammonia and energy. Okay. All right. I guess that somehow has something to do with it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not enough of a tech guy to understand the need for a drone in that capacity. But all right. Let's move on to the recent school shooting. I'm a little late to the show on this one. I haven't been following it like I should. But I did save this. This is a Pagliacci the Hated. Some chick with like over 100,000 followers. So I don't know. I don't know much about her. Said, I have made contact with the alleged boyfriend of the Wisconsin shooter. He has very graciously provided me the full manifesto, which I verified by having him screen record himself opening it from a direct link the shooter sent to him via WhatsApp. I told him I would do my best to dispel some of the misinformation and present things as truthfully as I was given them, and I will hold myself to that. Her boyfriend knew her as Samantha Rupnow. She also went by a different name, one which was also feminine, but adopted the name Samantha, and this was the name her boyfriend says she had on her school identification card. So she had another name which was feminine. So two feminine names. So I know there's a lot of chatter about whether she was trans or not. I guess that maybe is where people are getting it from. She was a student at Abundant Life. She was born on November 7th, 2009. She was born female and not transgender. Her boyfriend was born male and is not transgender. Her manifesto was titled War Against Humanity. Her manifesto is 6 pages long. In her manifesto, she spoke about having an extremely difficult relationship with her parents, who she referred to as scum. She also claims her family didn't love her or want her and expresses feeling like the wrong child of her family. She says she had planned to unalive herself a long time ago, but felt unaliving was better, or not unaliving, but unaliving others was better for evolution rather than just one stupid, boring unaliving. She expresses deep admiration for Pekka, Eric Avanen, Arda Kusikunitim, and Vladislav Royslakov. I don't know anything about those people, so maybe you guys do. She offered particular praise for Kusikutiim, that is a fucking word, who was a Turkish neo-Nazi who committed a mass attack in Eskişehir earlier this year and stated he was an inspiration to her. She calls him an ultimate saint. She expressed that she got the weapons to commit the attack through lies, manipulation, and my father's stupidity. More to come shortly. I'll make screenshots of the manifesto. In the interim, her boyfriend says the photo that is making the rounds is not how he remembers her and believes it was somewhat edited to make her look worse. He provided me a photo of her in the same t-shirt and room. Here's the photo. I'm honestly not sure which one is the original. Yeah, so this is, there's the photos. That's some information about the shooter. Sounds like it wasn't some tranny thing. Here's more. Here's a manifesto. It's 6 pages. I'm not going to read it. She says, here I'll include some screenshots. I'm hesitant to post the whole thing, not because the content is graphic in any way, but I'm worried it will violate the terms of service, and I'm not intending to do that. This is page 1 and page 2 in full. Okay, so there's 2 pages on her thread. Some more Wisconsin shooter info, and the 3rd page of her manifesto. Her boyfriend had known her for 2 years. They were in a long-distance relationship, had never met in person. They met on social media. All right, so she had a 2-year-long long-distance relationship over social media. All right, that's pretty pathetic. He says she never previously expressed any desire to commit a pew-pew and only sent him her manifesto the day of the pew-pew. Timestamps of the messages shown to me demonstrate she sent it to him via WhatsApp at approximately 10:30 a.m. She posted it to Twitter at 11:50 a.m. The pew-pew occurred around 11:57 a.m. I mean, maybe they'll mention this in a minute, but I'm pretty sure while this is really messed up, people died, it's dark, kind of hilarious. Apparently she posted her manifesto but forgot to leave it open or whatever, so it's like a locked manifesto, I think. I don't know, maybe people have figured a way around it, but it was just kind of like a way to fumble the bag. You go through this whole great I'm going to do this awful, evil thing. I'm going to leave a manifesto, and then you accidentally leave the manifesto locked. So, yeah. All right. He did not see her message until 1:12 Eastern, at which point the act had been committed, and she was already deceased. He describes her as being kind, generous towards him, and cheerful. He describes her as always making him gifts and never expecting anything in return. On page 4 of her manifesto, Samantha says that she acquired the weapons to commit the shooting or the pew-pew through lies, manipulation, and my father's stupidity. Her boyfriend says he was aware that there was a gun safe in her house, but does not know how she got access to it. Note, some news sources, ABC and AP, have incorrectly stated that Rupnow is 17 years of age. Confirming against her own parents' Facebook, she was born November 7th, 2009. Exactly as she stated in her manifesto, making her 15 years old. All right, well, that's fucking really sad that she's that young. That's how old my oldest is, so that's sad. Here's a photo of her as a newborn. Police have now corrected the record live and confirmed the pew-pewer was 15, as stated in the manifesto I posted here earlier. Previous mainstream media reports claiming the shooter was 17 were incorrect. Okay, now that I've gotten some assurance they will not be suspended for posting the final pages, here are pages 5 and 6, the final 2 pages. She talks about how her extremely difficult relationship with her father, notes that her parents had divorced multiple times and that her mother struggled with drug addiction. She also implies her father was an alcoholic. She expresses that she'd been bullied at school, something her boyfriend emphasized to me as being a big factor in her pessimism about her life and anger towards other people. Court records I have seen show she's telling the truth about the repeat divorces in her family and ongoing legal battles between her mother and father. As a note to address the dumbass comments I keep getting, 1, I watermark them so journalists can't steal them. Journalists don't do any of their actual own work anymore. They just scrape social media accounts and steal whatever they can find. Watermarking things forces them to reach out to the poster. I spent 4 to 5 hours talking to the boyfriend. Not them or you. I think I deserve that much. 2, I released the information sections A, to be clear and sequential, and B, to ensure I was not violating rules. Posting this in one go with no commentary may have been perceived as incitement. I had to wait for confirmation that would not be the case. Reuters has now confirmed that a 15-year-old female student named Natalie Samantha Rupnow is behind the shooting. If you were following that this thread, you got the news a clean 5 hours early. Congrats. Okay, cool. Well, so then this chick got it ahead of time. So good follow, I guess. Full page 4 says, I sincerely apologize. I meant to post this and cropped zoom of the main introduction and realize now in the chaos I didn't do that and only uploaded one. This is a full page 4. She continues to list off unalivers she admired before going into her introduction. All 6 full pages have now been uploaded in the thread. You know what? Maybe we'll save this for like a Monday or something. Maybe we'll read through the manifesto. Maybe that'd be a good way, a good thing to go about doing. I think that's what we'll do. We'll dig into her thoughts and feelings more Monday. Maybe I'll have more information, about the shooting. Maybe more will come out by then. But yeah, let me make sure I put it in there. Boom. Saved for tomorrow. All right, let's pop back in the chat, see what you guys have to say. Good morning. Good morning from Tim Tuttle. What's up? Ammonia, at least it's not graphene. Unless they're combining ammonium nitrate and aluminum, I don't know what that makes. This shooter chick was definitely one of those Teragram kids BX is always talking about. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I've seen her going nuts about it. I just haven't really had a chance to poke in. I've got so much going on these days. My timeline is very tight. So I just haven't really been able to put any sort of intellectual footwork into the BX connections. But I will say, it definitely does feel like exactly the sort of shit she's talking about. They're both AI touched up, which just means they both have filters. Oh, okay. So proud of my gender stepping up to balance the statistics. Yeah. I'm the kind of dude to write romantic letters to women in prison. Good morning, retard from Bobo Mikua. Good morning, Bobo Mikua. Soul Explorer Couching. I'm secretly somewhat concerned that women will take up mass violence and be good at it. Pfft, dude, they're not good at anything. They suck. We're good. I mean, just let them have this one. Emily says, we're too vindictive and spiteful to be allowed to take up violence. Rumor was that her long-distance vibrator died before she's 15. This is weird, okay? Humanity will not survive if women in mass pick up violence as a solution. Elizabeth Bathory, who? Yeah, that's the one that was killing all of her servants, I think. Bathing in their blood and stuff. Doesn't Michael Tessarion make the case that women killed off most species at some point in a violent rage? I don't know, maybe. Good morning, y'all. Women are not good at physical violence. I will say they are good at, they're good at you could be good at assassins. They just would use poisons and stuff like that. They just wouldn't do, let's be real, they're not doing hand-to-hand. Mental warfare, there you go. I will never understand how a person can be mad at old people and decide to shoot up kids. Yeah, for real. Maybe she was unloved as a child. Is that a play off words off unalive? So maybe she was unloved, and that's why she unalived. Yeah, I think so. It's actually really sad. I feel bad for her. They've had a troon in this, and they are not statistically adding up. Yeah. All right. Let's check into see what all else we got. I did want to cover this. Dave Smith beat me to the punch. There was a recent story of, obviously we've talked about on the show that all the serious stuff going on. But, it's kind of made the rounds, so I'm late. I'm a little late on this, but it says right here, from Wyatt Reed, he works for the Gray Zone News managing editor. CNN's closer Ward tried to present herself as the liberator of an oppressed Syrian political prisoner. It now appears she was actually an accomplice in the escape of a widely hated Assad government intelligence officer imprisoned for corruption. This is what we're working with. Essentially, there was this whole tape debacle of this chick from CNN saving or being there when these people were liberated from the prisons, and it looked really fake. The guy had clean nails. It just seemed, and then come to find out, I guess this guy is actually literally one of the torturers. So scroll through this real quick. Long. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is long. That's the long and short of it. I don't know if we need to read all of it. Let's skim through it. Scandal deepens around CNN's Calista Ward staging Syria prison scene. In the nearly 20 years as a journalist, this was one of the most extraordinary moments I've witnessed. witness. That's how veteran CNN journalist Calissa Ward described her foray into a Syrian prison on December 12th, where she promptly claimed to have rescued a forgotten inmate after 3 months in jail. But there was just one problem with the extraordinary moment. A review of a dramatic story depicted by CNN reveals a number of glaring inconsistencies, the greatest of which is that the man stands accused of being an imposter. After countless social media users shredded CNN's story, a fact-checking organization with ties to the U.S. government has exposed the prisoner seemingly liberated in Ward's theatrical performance turns out to have been a low-level Syrian intelligence official jailed for corruption and abuse charges. CNN finally addressed the deepening scandal on December 15th, declaring that it would investigate the subject of Ward's piece. However, the network continues to protect the correspondents responsible for the journalistic flim-flam while rebroadcasting the stage report for its views day after day. With Ward still stationed in jihadist-held Damascus, it appears that the bosses are refusing to allow any editorial standards or professional ethics get in the way of a successful Western-backed regime change operation. Yeah, and this is what, it shares a tweet from Max Blumenthal saying CNN's still airing this stage segment despite it being exposed as a fraud, and community noted, I don't know if they ever fucking, did any sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. Edit or not edit. What's the word? We're fucking journalists. Go back and fix their shit. Whatever. I'll think of it later. But yes, they haven't gone back and fixed it at all, or made an announcement of a revision. Is that the word I'm looking for? Anyways, in CNN's original December 11th video report, Ward enters jail. She says was previously operated by Syrian Air Force intelligence, which she claims is one of many secret prisons across Damascus, and was specifically tasked with surveillance, arrest, and killing of all regime critics. Ward was apparently searching for signs of Austin Tice, an American journalist who the U.S. government claims was being held by the Assad government prior to its fall. Oh, cool. Here on the side here's a tweet from our buddy Liam Cosgrove. It's going nuclear on the State Department. Matthew Miller saying people are sick of the bullshit here. It is a genocide, and you are risking nuclear war in Ukraine and Iran. Hell yeah, dude. Liam's the shit. Anyways, back to this story. We don't find any hints of Tice, Ward insists in the voiceover, but we come across something extraordinary. At this point, the guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door, she says. That's ridiculous. Viewers are not shown their entrance. Afterwards, Ward and her entourage appear a clean but windowless cell where a blanket lies heaped on the ground. It moved, Ward explains before asking the blanket in English, is someone there? Upon being prodded by her armed rebel guide, a man crawls out from under the blanket, revealing himself to the CNN crew. Eyes widens. He raises his arms. I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian, Ward translates. He tells the fighter he is from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months. Ward is shown pacing in the background. Hand clasped dramatically to her chest. He clutches my arm tightly with both hands, she intones, her voice quivering with emotion. She then asks breathlessly, does anyone have any water? Someone off screen produces a bottle, which the man drinks quickly. As he walks outside, he looks up. My God, the light, he says, while staring directly and unflinching the sky. Left alone for days without food, water, or light, the man was unaware Bashar al-Assad's regime has fallen, Ward declares gravely. By her stated estimation, he had been left for dead and deprived of all food and water for at least 4 days. A 2022 study published in Science determined that despite adaptations to minimize dehydration, humans can survive for only 3 days without consuming water. And he looked in perfect condition, so for those who aren't aware. The Mazah Air Force intelligence prison in question was reportedly overtaken by anti-government militants on December 6th, a full 5 days before the report was published. I'm not going to keep reading it. It is ridiculous. It's very obvious that if you watch the video, it's very clear it's bullshit. And that's why people immediately were tearing it apart. They go, this is fucking stupid. This is bullshit. All right, let me pop back into you guys. Retraction. Why can't I think of that word? I see you guys in the chat. Retraction. Jeez. All right. Just skinning this shitty parents alive like a normal person. Make parents scared to produce human refuse. Women love violence but can't do it themselves, so they vote for unaliving their little ones. She was a student at that school and was bullied also. She chose other kids instead of her parents as targets, but they were both part of her reasoning. Yeah, shit is sad. Yeah, it is. A journalist lying. Say it ain't so from Robin is a brat. Yeah, no one is surprised at all. I'd take a million fat white boy 1980s movie bullies over a China woman bully. That's the same CNN reporter that confirmed chemical weapons in Syria by smelling a shirt. Yeah, I think there was another one she was involved in too. I think she's been in a couple clearly produced segments. Yeah, I can't believe I can't think of retraction. Everyone's saying retraction. That was the word I was looking for. Assad only wanted Syrians in a Syria-based globalist nip nationalism in the bud. All right, guys, let's do some OKC stuff. It's been a while since I've done some OKC stuff. This is a thread from our buddy Richard. Let's get into this one. This is excerpts from Jennifer McVey's 13-page affidavit. The FBI got her right out after telling her she'd be charged with treason and put to death. So that's a little bit of information for you guys who aren't aware. Jennifer McVey really only turned on her brother once she essentially was threatened with treason and to be put to death by the FBI. I mean, they didn't overtly say it. This is kind of part of the fucked up part of it, is it was like a deception thing. They essentially did things that would heavily implied and made her seem to think there was a strong possibility that she could have been charged for treason. And then they kind of like allowed her to piece together, what is the kind of like this, well, what's the penalty for treason? And the penalty for treason is death. So they essentially framed things in a way that left Jennifer McVey under the impression that she very likely might get put to death if she didn't come forward with information for her brother. So a little bit fucked up. So that is the context of Jennifer McVey, which is Tim McVeigh's sister, her talking. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that comes from her. This is also where you get the information about him being part of the ARA. This is the letters to her is where you get information about him being sheep dipped. But anyways, so let's read these. These are excerpts from her affidavit to the FBI. It says, during that same period of time, I recall a separate incident which had taken place in my living room. My brother and I were together when I noticed what appeared to be a photograph from a newspaper clipping. This photograph may have been laminated and was slightly larger than wallet size. I believe there was a caption beneath the photograph. However, I cannot recall any of this information. The individual in the photograph was a white male dressed in a suit and tie in what appeared to be a posed stance. I recall that this individual appeared to be in his late 40s or early 50s and may have not had a full head of hair. It is my belief that this individual could have possibly been a government employee or official. I believe the identity of this person was made known to me at this time, but I cannot recall his name. I also did not recognize the name of this person at the time I saw this photograph. I asked my brother if I could see this photograph, and he walked over to show it to me. At the time, he warned me not to touch it, as he did not want my fingerprints to appear on this photograph. He further warned me this was evidence. I ignored his warnings and handled the photograph nonetheless. I returned the photograph to my brother. However, I do not recall what he did with it. I do not have any recollection whatsoever as to the identity of this person or any other information relating to this incident. Based upon his actions and precautionary statements concerning this photo, it is my opinion that my brother may have been aware of or involved in a plan to harm this person. Now, I don't know who this person could be. She did say him being balding. I mean, the last little bit about being involved in a plan to harm this person, it makes me think possibly Roger Moore, although I don't recall Roger Moore being a balding individual. I think he had a pretty nice head of hair. Let me see. Let me look him up real quick. Because, I'm pretty sure he had a nice head of hair on him. Let's see if I get any fighting photos of him. No, there's not really any photos. But I don't know. I recall him of having a nice head of hair. Oh, actually, I'm looking at a photo of him right here now. Here you go. Not that you can really make that one out that well, but you can see it, even as an old guy, he has a nice head of hair. So I don't think it was Roger Moore. So I'm not sure. I mean, that is odd, but part of the lore, for those who are unaware, the robbery of Roger Moore is what was used partially to help fund for the Oklahoma City bombing. And there's a lot of reports, or a lot of things that seem to imply that perhaps the original plan was to also off Roger Moore in the process. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Mueller murders, which was a very, very similar thing, where the Kehoe brothers, who were connected in with McVey and the ARA as well, very, clicked up with that group. And there's things to imply that perhaps Brescia and / or Strassmeyer had some part in this. But the Mueller murders were where the Kehoe brothers essentially robbed a guy named William Mueller. I forget his first name, but he was a gun dealer just like Roger Moore. So it's very much a similar thing. He robbed him of all his like guns, money, etc. And he essentially, I believe, he put bags over their heads and essentially some sort of stone or weight to them and put them in the water type deal. So you know, kind of that generic thing. I don't remember the details on how they found the bodies and stuff, but essentially, yeah, he murdered the Kehoe brothers, unalived a young family. It was the Mueller. The husband, the wife, who was younger. The husband, I think, want to say was like in his 40s. Wife was probably maybe 20s, and then I want to say it was like an 8-year-old girl. So pretty fucked up. But point being is that that was kind of the same network of people, give or take. It seems like that probably did this. The money was used. There's also, I forget the specifics. There are people who seem to think that Roger Moore was a loose tie they wanted to take care of. There's some reports here and there by different individuals that imply that that was originally the plan, but for some reason it fell through. They let Roger Moore live, but seemed to be, like I said, with the Mueller thing, there being kind of close parallels there. But either way, I'm kind of talking on my ass. It is weird that I don't know who this person is. You would think maybe it'd be more, but she said it was balding. He didn't have a full head of hair. He may not have had a full head of hair. So, I mean, the age is roughly correct, 40s, 50s. I would say Moore was probably older at that time. But, all right, let's move on to the next part of it. Then my brother told me he was involved in bank robbery section on page 5. So here is where one of the ones people point to of, a connection from McVey to the ARA because they were involved in bank robberies. All right. It says here, my brother and I had a conversation in the kitchen, as I believe there were other persons present at the residence in connection to the sale. At that time, he advised me as follows. He had been involved in a bank robbery, but did not provide any further details concerning this robbery. He advised me that he had not actually participated in the robbery itself, but was somehow involved in the planning or setting up of this robbery. Although he did not identify their participants by name, he stated that they had committed the robbery. His purpose for relaying this information to me was to request that I exchange some of my own money for what I recalled to be approximately 3 $100 bills. He explained that this money was from the bank robbery, and he wished to circulate this money through me. To the best of my recollection, I then gave my brother what I recalled to be approximately $300 of my personal cash in exchange for 3 $100 bills, which I deposited within the next several days in an account at the Unit Number 1 Federal Credit Union, Lockport, New York. I cannot recall if this money was deposited in a checking or savings account. I do recall that the deposit amount was for more than what had been provided to me by my brother. I believe the total deposit may have been for approximately $500. So this is what a lot of researchers point to with that side of things. Special thanks to Kathy Wilburn Sanders for providing us with the document. I can relate to her wanting to find out everything and feeling let down by the investigation. That's Kathy Wilburn. Her grandkids died in this. I believe that's Jay. Is that who's that to her? Is that Roger Charles? I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. Kathy was the best thing about the HBO Max doc. I did not like the conclusion of Jeff Toobin in it. Anything he said could and should have been said by someone else. Bill Clinton being in it was not helpful. Was also not helpful. On the other hand, they did include Kathy, Mike Butcher, and Ballou. And the doc, importantly, never once says Todd Bunting, and instead tells the truth that the witnesses at Elliott's body shop all saw 2 men. If I recall correctly, I might be wrong, the Todd Bunting thing, I believe, is the angle that the FBI, where they tried to say that actually they misremembered things, the individuals who spotted McVey at Elliott's body shop to pick up the Ryder truck and was with a John Doe too. I believe they tried to say that it was actually, they were wrong about the day and that it was actually Todd Bunting working a different day, but I might be wrong on that. So I believe that's what the Todd Bunting thing, and then Todd Bunting claims to have seen something else. So obviously this is kind of what they try to use a way to uphold that there was no John Doe 2, even though it's like, I think it's something in the realm of over 20 eyewitnesses the day of the Oklahoma City bombing saw McVey with another individual. And yeah, they didn't, and literally every person who identified McVey, I believe, on that day also saw him with another person. So, and none of those people ended up what's the word I'm looking for? Ended up testifying in court, because every single one of them saw him with John Doe 2, and they clearly were trying to avoid the John Doe 2 angle. So, all right, let's pop back in the chat, see what you guys have to say. Every single time. I used to read the Daily Stormer for fun, and I remember a trend where at the same time every year, I think in January, the media would start saying this sawdust to people. Yeah, it's like every year and a half, it came back around. It was always around the time when some big policy involving either Syria or Israel is being reviewed. Don't worry, Chase Oliver tucks out his ass too. I get it, he's gay. All right, guys. Oh, by the way, I did want to let you guys know we're actually surprisingly very close to being done with our Gladio, or not a Gladio, but our Dutroux affair article. For some reason, because if those have been paying attention or following along with those, it looked like we were only like halfway through the thing, but apparently like half of that fucking thing is like notes and sources and stuff. So we're damn near done, and we're gonna get in that in a minute. I have let's go into in latest FBI entrapment news from Ken Silva. An Egyptian teenager was arrested for sending bomb-making instructions to an informant. The FBI claims the Egyptian recruited the informant to attack an Israeli consulate. Does this sound like recruitment to you? Maybe Allah wants me to act here. Sounds like the FBI informant begging for a job to me. By the way, the FBI previously interviewed the Egyptian in 2022 when he was still a juvenile, which is my basis for calling him a teenager, even though his age isn't listed. All right, here is the thing. He says, Hassan recruited CHS-1 to conduct a mass casualty attack. On November 15th, 2024, Hassan sent CHS-1 a pro-ISIS video that called for the unaliving of Jews. CHS-1 responded to this video by pledging allegiance to the leader of ISIS and calling Hassan his emir. CHS-1 told Hassan that he was waiting on Hassan's direction. On November 16th, 2024, Hassan reacted to the above messages with heart emojis. That's adorable. That same day, Hassan deleted the video described in paragraph 32. On November 22nd, 2024, CH1 told Hassan that if CHS-1 could not travel to join ISIS, it was Allah's will, and maybe he wants me to act here. Hassan then responded that CHS-1 should aim for government buildings, use a Zastava rifle. If you can access one to carry out your attack, and all praises to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, or buy a 3D printed gun and just ammunition. I'm not sure. Is Hassan... Who is the Hassan, though? Sounds like the FBI informant begging for a job. Maybe... Wants to be an act here. CHS-1, they can do this as well. Okay, so Hassan, I think, is the teenager. So I don't really... Hassan supposedly recruited... Okay, I don't really get bomb-making instructions. It says the Egyptian recruited the informant. Okay, I see the point here. Is that it looks kind of almost the other way, like the informant is trying to get him to do shit. Okay, all right. Here's a article if you want to read more about it. Another Egyptian, they're doing more Terror Factory stuff. We're not going to go into that. I do have one more thread I want to go in with you guys before we move on. Let me see. I'm going to make sure I'm not biting off more than I can chew here. All right. We have Matt Ackers. I've seen a lot of good threads from him. Good follow. I'll go ahead and give him a follow. He's a little more of a lefty parapolitics guy, but I'll give him a follow. Those guys never follow me back. It's like they all know me and go, fuck this guy. But whatever. I'm going to follow him. He has good content. So, hey, fair is fair. All right. In 1992, Paladin Press published Unalive Without Joy. It has this interesting passage in it about ritual unaliving. Paladin publisher Peter Lund admitted to working in the Phoenix program. So Kill or Unalive Without Joy, the complete How to Unalive book by John Minery is what it's called. Jesus Christ. As if here's instant termination from DCAT. Okay, yeah, so here's photos from it. I don't know. Is this some sort of joke? As if you're just going to be able with one fell swipe fucking do that? I don't know. All right. If the subject's execution is to be ritualized, kneel him down, hands tied behind his back, pass the blade of the weapon lightly over the back of his bowed head. This causes the muscles to stiffen, then chop for a clean kill. Okay, well, nice. Thanks for the tip, I guess. Here's more excerpts from this. The writer's call the Colorado. God damn it. I'm trying to zoom into this. Sorry. This writer's call to Colorado yielded the following conversation. How could you publish the OSS Sabotage and Demolition Manual? I asked Peter Lund, editor and publisher of Paladin Press, if your organization, the least, was not dealing with former OSS agents, and what about How to Unalive? I don't talk to journalists, Lund said. You're called the Paladin Press. You must publish books. Can I order them? No. Why not? You're a publisher, aren't you? We're afraid our publications might fall in the wrong hands. What are the right hands, I asked. I don't talk to journalists. Have you ever heard of Desert Publications, I asked. A fine outfit, Lundette said. If they recommend you, I'll send you art material. That's my problem. They don't seem to have a phone number. Well, they're a good group. Listen, I said, wasn't your group and Desert Publications, besides, involved in a CIA mercenary activity in Africa? I don't know anything about that. Were you in the Special Forces? July 1967 to July 1968 in Vietnam. All right. Were you CIA? I was McVey, Military Armed Forces Command, Vietnam. You weren't affiliated with CIA? I didn't say that. What do you say? We did joint operations with CIA on the Phoenix program. Wasn't that an unaliving operation? No, it was snatching people. All right, well, this guy is spooked up, which I believe Paladin Press, from my recollection, is like a commonly referred to production, book produce. I guess a publishing company is the word I'm looking for. That puts out seems to be a front. Is I guess the easiest way to put it. They also published Hitman, a technical manual for independent contractors, which was used in several unalivings. It even has an episode dedicated to it in the FBI propaganda show, The FBI Files. I see Nephilim Death Squad is raided the stream. Hello, guys. Hello. Dangerous Retard. Say hello. Hello. Sup. Thanks for joining us. All right, back to our fucking Fed shit. All right, one instance of Hitman being used in an unaliving plot concerned Dana Ewell, who paid to have damn it, my bad. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong tab. Give me a second, I'll be right back to it. Who paid to have his parents and sister unalived. It happened Easter in 1992 while Dana was spending the weekend with his girlfriend and her FBI agent father. Here we go. In the 1992 triple unaliving trial of Dana Ewell, the jury was presented with evidence that the book was purchased by the shooter Joel Radovich, and that Radovich uses a template for committing the 3 unalivings. Dana Ewell was a rich kid with the ultimate alibi. On Easter Sunday, 1992, as a gunman executed his father, mother, and sister inside their Adobe ranch house, he was 200 miles away, spending the holiday with his girlfriend and her FBI agent father in the Bay Area. All right, cool. So the rich kid that pulled this off, it seems. All right, his dad, Dale, took over an aviation business in 1972 from a man that was using the airplanes for drug smuggling. His mom, Glee, worked for the CIA. Man, weird. Okay. So this is, once again, this is Dana Ewell, whose parents were unalived. And then so the dad, Dale, one of the guys who was unalived. All right, let's keep it moving. Among Fresno's wealthy agribusiness families, Dale and Glee Ewell had been quiet about their fortune. In 1972, Dale took over a Piper airplane dealership from a Fresno man convicted of using the planes to smuggle tons of marijuana from Mexico. He invested shrewdly in farmland and real estate, building his wealth. Took over an airplane dealership convicted of using... Okay, so they took over an airplane dealership from a man who was convicted. I bet you that guy, I'd be willing to bet money that guy got some sort of sweetheart deal, and they probably continued smuggling, and they probably kept some aspects of the operational or the business operational, if I had to guess. Rumors swirled in Fresno about drug smugglers and Filipino mobsters. At least one rumor was nurtured by Dana Ewell, who let slip to the pastor at the memorial service that his mother had worked for the CIA in Argentina. The pastor speculated to the press that the murders may have been related to foreign intrigue. Glee Ewell did work for the CIA, but as a Spanish translator in the 1950s. Oh, that was it. All right. The hitman, Joel Radovich, was meticulous with the planning and disposing of the gun, except the incredibly unique barrel. He also was an avid subscriber to Soldier of Fortune, which he sent for under an eventual Air Force officer's name. Weird. All right, the gunman who unalived the Ewell family on Easter Sunday, 1992, in Fresno was a stickler for detail, which made it all the more remarkable that the barrel of the gun was used in sensational triple unaliving turned up in the field in Rosada. The unaliver had gone so far as to shave his entire body before entering the Ewell house. Inside, he waited for the victims for 12 hours, passed the time while sitting on a plastic sheet so that he would not leave behind even an errant eyelash. His weapon of choice was a 9mm assault-style rifle from a little-known Colorado arms manufacturer, the better to confound investigators. The unaliving weapon, for instance, was indeed no ordinary gun. It featured a ballistic signature so distinctive that detectives considered it as good as a fingerprint. And sources said, though the gun was broken up and other parts tossed down storm drains and into dumpsters, never to be seen again, the barrel was buried, where ultimately detectives could dig it up. As for Radovich, he breezed through Santa Clara in 3.5 years. Like Ewell, earning a business degree and developed a fascination with guns, silencers, and explosives. During college, he had survivalist magazines sent in the name of a friend, Tom Duong, to Duong's house near campus. I opened up this box, and it was his whole assortment of Soldier of Fortune type magazines. Duong, now an Air Force officer based in Arkansas, said in an interview, I was pretty mad, and I told him about it. All right, well that's sure is something. I wonder if the son had even anything to do with it at all. Well, because it wouldn't surprise me if it was just that he was essentially they made it look like he commissioned it. The purchaser of the gun, Jack Ponce, was Radovich's brother's best friend. When the police came, calling Ponce was ready to explain everything and show them where the barrel was. He got immunity from prosecution, by the way. Well, now it's seeming more and more, especially with the barrel thing that they're implying. It was almost like an intentional, almost to the extent of like Mangione, where it's like, here's my manifesto, here's this, here's that, here's all the things to convict me. But I don't know. All right. On that short list was Jack Ponce, a UCLA graduate. He had gone to high school at Chaminade and was best friends with Joel Radovich's older brother, Peter. Souza sought out Ponce. He admitted that he had bought the gun as a birthday present for himself and received it on April 8th, 1992, only 11 days before the Ewell killings. Confronted with the prospect of a murder charge, Ponce quickly provided extensive details of the crime. He led investigators to the gun barrel buried in the San Fernando Valley, a couple of blocks from Peter Radovich's apartment. So Peter Lund was in the Phoenix program, comes home, starts Paladin. One of his books, Hitman, plays a role in the execution of a man that took over an aviation business from a drug smuggler and his wife, a CIA agent, the killer, avid Soldier of Fortune subscriber, weird. And of course, Kill with Joy is basically a guide on how to unalive people like a serial killer. He has his sources listed here. Yeah, wild shit, right? This is the world we live in. All right, guys, let's pop into the chat, see what you guys would say, and then I think we're going to probably move on over to the dark part of the show where we do our Dutroux reading. Let me see. Sup, yo, I just gave Raven grief for lying. What a piece of shit. What a fucking piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. I love Raven. He's cool. Top ordered Raven to lie to you. Good morning, Jose B. Good morning, retards. Chinese frontman Tom DeWong from the band Brink 182. Nice, I like it. Good jokes. Then Doctor says translators are often used as intelligence gathering operators. Correct? I would assume. I mean, you would think if you're a translator, you would probably want to like minimize other people. Like you should instead of the idea of having to translate it for somebody else, wouldn't it make more sense if you were the one that you were translating it for? Like you're the agent. Like you're the one. You just also are fluent in whatever thing. It would make the most sense to me from an intelligence perspective to minimize the amount of people that have access to information. Like make one of the make the translator the person, and that way you don't even have to actually repeat things to go, oh, they said this. So now you're also even more OPSEC. So I don't know, talking to my ass, I don't know how these operations work, but you would think. All right, guys, let's get into, and once again, a disclaimer. We're going to the Dutroux affair reading. This is a lot of dark shit. It's essentially about a global child trafficking network. So there are some fucked up accounts in here, but that's kind of the nature of this. It is what it is. But just warning you guys before we get into it. Yes, let's get into it now. We got this is the Dutroux affair reading we're doing, and then we're onto the U.S. connection continued. And like I said, I think we have this one more section and then like a conclusion. So we might finish this between like the next morning dump or the one after that. So only got a couple more of these. I don't even think we'll have made it to 15. So that's not too bad. Because we were getting up there in parts. I was trying to think we'd be up to 20 to 30. But all right. The U.S. connection continued. In November 1986, San Francisco police began investigating claims of naughty abuse. I'm just swapping out words just to remind you guys for the YouTube censors. Centering around the Army's Child Development Center at the Presidio of San Francisco. During the investigation in August 1987, one of the girls ran into her abuser while on a shopping trip with her father. She froze, pointed to a person named Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, and identified him as Mikey. Mikey, with the help of a member of the child daycare center staff, had taken her off-site to be abused in a certain way at his home. During the following investigation, the girl could accurately point out the house of Aquino and describe some of the interior details. In October 1987, news of the Presidio molestings hit the local news, and it was reported that at least 58 of 100 children who had visited the daycare center showed physical and mental signs of abuse of a certain kind. Some of the details that came out were that children had been tortured with needles, and that some had been forced to drink urine and eat feces. The parents sued the daycare center for more than $60 million. And as time went on, more and more claimed that there was a cover-up of the facts. Aquino was under investigation for a while, but never officially charged with anything. The case died a quiet death. Bizarrely, in late 1988, the case hadn't even fully died yet, or Colonel Aquino, a self-confessed Satanist, was invited to talk shows as Gerardo and Oprah, where he was allowed to debate the likes of former FBI Special Agent Ted Gunderson, a notorious conspiracy disinformation agent claiming that massive amounts of baby-eating Satanists were making America unsafe. I mean, he might not have been wrong about that. 2 decades later, Aquino popped up as a close friend and ally of none other than Colonel John Alexander, possibly the most connected UFO and New Age disinfo pusher of our time. Aquino has intelligence ties and most certainly is a conspiracy disinformer. How much of the extremely disturbing 1986 to 1988 child abuse case he was tied to is true, but it's likely to remain an open-ended question, though. Aquino is more relevant to the much later X dossiers and its affiliated Nazi networks than one would initially anticipate as well. Instead of having a European fascist connected to NATO and U.S. intelligence, here we have an American fascist working for U.S. intelligence who used to tour NATO installations and Nazi castles in Europe. Let's take a look at additional aspects of Aquino's biography. In the late 1960s, after Aquino finished his undergraduate studies in political science at the University of California in Santa Barbara, he became a follower of Church of Satan founder Anton LaVey, essentially an eccentric counterculture performance artist. In the 1969 to 1975 period, Aquino served as LaVey's right hand and is a high priest in the Church of Satan. UFO expert and Professor Jacques Vallée, an associate of Colonel John Alexander at the CIA, SRI organized remote viewing programs in the 1970s, occasionally met with LaVey in the 1970s in establishing an early link between Colonel Aquino and the Colonel Alexander UFO disinformation network. Parallel to his Church of Satan activities, Aquino went to Vietnam in the late 1960s to become a psychological warfare expert. Now, keep in mind that time period. Remember that thread we just read about the Paladin Press and that one guy who admitted to being involved in the Phoenix operation, in Operation Phoenix, And the period of time that he was there was like, I think 67, 68, something like that. Aquino's over there in the late 60s as well. So at some point he served with the Green Berets, and in the 1970s he was a liaison officer to NATO in several European countries. While on tour visiting NATO installations in Europe, Aquino made a stopover at Wolfsburg Castle, which during World War II used to be a Heinrich Himmler's occult SS sanctuary. Aquino even managed to perform a satanic ceremony in the castle's Hall of the Dead. In 1981, Aquino was a reserve attaché to the Defense Intelligence Agency, and by 1986, he held a top-secret compartmentalized security clearance, which are given to individuals involved in programs that need to be even tighter controlled than regular top-secret programs. He apparently needed this clearance for following studies at the National Defense University. At the time the child abuse investigation against him was launched in 1986, Aquino was a program analyst at the Army Reserve Personnel Center in St. Louis. In between all of this, he was a licensed securities dealer and an employee of Merrill Lynch. Reliable or not, Aquino's name popped up in a parallel child abuse investigation in the late 1980s. In November 1988, federal investigators found out that $35 million had disappeared from a credit union that reported only to possess $2.5 million in assets. Within weeks of the affair, the local community was abuzz with rumors of a child prostitution network centering around the credit union's owner, Lawrence Larry King Jr. That's right, guys. We're talking about the Franklin scandal. A person with highest level connections in Republican circles in both Nebraska and Washington, D.C. Senator John W. DeCamp ultimately became the person who brought out the story of victim witnesses as Alicia Owen, Loretta Smith, Paul Bonacci, Troy Boner, and Danny King about life in these abuse networks. DeCamp wrote, Paul Bonacci and other child victims have given evidence in great depth on the central role of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino in this depravity. Aquino, alleged to have recently retired from an active military role, was long the leader of an Army psychological warfare section, which drew on his expertise in personal practices in brainwashing, Satanism, Nazism, homosexual pedophilia, and unaliving. Paul Bonacci reports the following monarch-related activities, often involving his commander at Offutt Air Force Base, Bill Plemons, and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. Traveled to Dresden and communist East Germany, where weapons were inspected. There, in the Federal Republic of Germany, the monarch personnel were frequently neo-Nazis. This milieu is a special project of Lieutenant Colonel Aquino, who was a West European advisor to the U.S. Chiefs of Staff. Paul Bonacci has extensive experience in the Aryan nations and other white supremacist cults. Okay. In his book, The Franklin Cover-Up, DeCamp explained that the Monarch Project in some circles was the unofficial name of an extreme mind control network. Hard to tell how much of this information was confirmed by his friend William Colby, the former CIA director, a deep insider who clearly has an interest in spreading disinformation in the first place. The basic idea was used to alters of people suffering from dissociative identity disorder for specific military and intelligence purposes, which, by the way, if you recall, we talked about this already in this earlier in this article with the I believe it was X1, and how her captor was essentially grooming her alters intentionally to essentially fill different roles. Unfortunately, alternative personalities are only formed at a relatively young age and only under the most extreme stress, so most people won't even think of carrying out this research. But the Nazis didn't mind. It was apparently them who had laid out the foundations of this research in some of their concentration camps. An account of the origin of the Monarch Project has been compiled by those who have been debriefing MPD child victims, which MPD is the same as DID. It's multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. They're the same thing. Nazi experimentation in World War II concentration camps were said to have gone beyond simply insane physical tortures. They brainwashed people for military and strategic purposes. After the war, Alan Dulles and other Western intelligence people brought Nazi doctors out for use in the United States. A teenage concentration camp inmate named Greenbaum, who had participated to save himself, also came to the United States. Known later as Dr. Green, he became a high-level brainwasher and is widely represented in brainwashing programs with a distinctive Kabbalistic magic theme. All right. He became a high... Okay. The killers in the Nazi camps were themselves trained and organized by psychiatrists and eugenicists operating from the T4 Bureau. These psychiatrists had long been the pets of white supremacist British and American financier networks. At least some of the Nazi doctors were spirited out of Germany under the supervision of Bank of England Governor Montagu Norman and Tavistock Institute director John R. Rees on behalf of the British government. Norman, personally an insane theosophist who had been chief of the pre-war pro-Nazi faction within England, and Rees organized post-war propaganda and continuing psychological warfare activities and created Orwellian groupings within U.S. psychiatry and mental health fields. Although many details still need to be filled in, we've come full circle now. During the 1970s and 1980s, a number of mainly American investigators began to claim that there existed a highly organized post-World War II fascist underground which appeared to be involved in drug running, gold smuggling, weapon trafficking, and other subversive activities. The mainstream media generally ignored the claims of these investigators, but in the early 1999s, during the Stay Behind affair, Gladio, it became clear that these investigators, at least to a large extent, had been right. The reason for the secrecy surrounding this underground network also became clear. It was ultimately controlled by U.S. intelligence. The Stay Behind Gladio affair showed how since the end of World War II, the CIA and a number of military agencies have been setting up secret anti-communist armies in most European countries. Even though there were plenty of regular anti-communist army officers to pick from, Nazis and other fascists, like pro-colonialists, were appointed to run these clandestine armies instead, which undoubtedly had something to do with all the immoral operations that were to be carried out. In each country, this U.S. intelligence-controlled network seemed to have had the approval of the old pro-colonial aristocracy, which is usually centered around a royal court of a number of hard-right political leaders. As a result of the Kennedy assassination, quite a number of Americans became skeptical of the CIA and launched their own private investigations into this organization. In the following years and decades, various U.S. investigators brought out more and more evidence that the CIA was involved in many things that couldn't stand the light of day. As stated, this included the recruiting of Nazis, infiltration of domestic media, massive drugs and arms trafficking, organizing coups against legitimate governments, assassinations, false flag terroristic attacks, and mind control research. Some of the most well-known rogue CIA men and associates have been Ted Shackley, General John Singlelob, Thomas Kleins, Carl Jenkins, David Morales, Rafael Quintero, Felix Rodriguez, Edwin Wilson, Richard Armitage, Albert Hakim, General Richard Secord, and Oliver North. This list is by no means complete and even includes such former CIA directors as William Colby, William Casey, and George Bush. Real quick, I did want to remind you guys, I did want to bring it up. I just now noticed it. I've seen another super chat. I forgot to read this before. I forgot to read it yesterday. It was like last moment thing. So Eddie Grimm, I want to give a big shout out to you. Thank you from the $10 from yesterday. Said, got to get some work done. I'll finish the episode later. Thanks, Jose. We also have another one in there from Andrew Jacob. Says, Jose and Raven, no way. You are indeed correct. No way. He is not here today. No way, Jose. See what I did there? See? Oh, all right. Wah. All right, guys, let's get back into, let's check in with you guys real quick. Everyone's saying hi. Hey, Jose. Hey, son of Overbook. Taking a B rip at work. Good speed, homies. It's taking a bong rip at work. All right, you must have an interesting job. All right, let's get back into it. All right, let's back to the reading. Sorry, I just now remembered. I'm like, oh shit, I need to remember the super chat. All right. Anyways, back to it. Of particular interest to this article is Edwin Wilson. He used to be a member of Shackley's secret team. In 1980, Colonel Cuddalo wrote an affidavit claiming that Wilson ran large-scale surveillance operations in order to receive an advance warning of anyone trying to leak information about CIA drug trafficking operations. Electronic surveillance had been instituted against a number of senators and congressmen, numerous police officials, judicial figures, and the Catholic cathedrals of New York and Boston. Besides regular surveillance, Wilson was also accused of selling the sensitive information he had acquired to companies that were part of the military-industrial complex, which they in turn used as leverage against Washington politicians to score contracts. According to Frank Turple, the business partner of Wilson in supplying weapons and special forces to Gaddafi from 1976 to 1981, Wilson was involved in the actual blackmail operations. According to fugitive ex-CIA officer Frank Turple, CIA-directed sexual blackmailing operations were intensive in Washington at about the time of the Watergate scandal, which we've been covering that on my Watergate series with Austin Picard. There clearly was some special sexual blackmail going on. One of these operations, Turple claims, is run by his former partner, Ed Wilson. Wilson's base of operations was arranging trysts for the politically powerful, Turple says, Korean agent Ton Soon Park's Georgetown Club. In a letter to the author, Turple explained that historically, one of Wilson's agency jobs was to subvert members of both houses of Congress by any means necessary. Certain people could be easily coerced by living out their sexual fantasies in the flesh. A remembrance of these occasions was permanently recorded via selected cameras. The technicians in charge of filming were TSD, Technical Services Division of the CIA. The unwitting porno stars advanced in their political careers, some of whom may still be in office. All right, that's quite the quote. All right. Although Turple's claims are hard to verify, there still is a very interesting comment. Like Sun Myung Moon and his Unification Church, Park had close ties to the Korean Central Intelligence Agency, and more importantly, the CIA and its partly privatized anti-communist fascist underground. Also, both Moon and Park have been tied to PDF blackmail operations in the United States. Moon through the activities of his right-hand man, Colonel Bo Hai Pak, and Park through his Georgetown's Club first president, Robert Keith Gray. Gray rose to prominence in the late 1950s as Secretary of Eisenhower's cabinet. After leaving the White House, he, for more than 3 decades, became a leading manager of Hill & Knowlton, one of the most influential Washington lobbying firms, especially during the Nixon and Reagan years. DeCamp noticed that Gray was the closest friend in Washington of Harold Anderson, a person accused by several victim witnesses in the Franklin case of being a PDF. Gray and his company were tied to the Iran-Contra affair and came out in support of Catholic priest Bruce Ritter, who was accused of PDF stuff. This priest worked in partnership with Aers, which coordinated its aid missions with the CIA, the Vatican, and the Reagan administration. According to DeCamp, Ritter and his Covenant Youth Organization were at the center of PDF ring that procured children from South America. Additionally, Gray used to be a business partner of Edwin Wilson in the years before the latter was arrested for having sold massive amounts of C4 to Gaddafi. From DeCamp, said to be Harold Anderson's closest friend in Washington, Gray is also reportedly a specialist in homosexual blackmail operations for the CIA. Gray's associate Wilson was apparently continuing the work of a reported collaborator of Gray from the 1950s. McCarthy Committee Counsel Roy Cohn, which is Trump's homie, now dead of AIDS. According to the former head of the Vice Squad for one of America's biggest cities, Cohn's job was to run the little boys. Say you had an admiral, a general, a congressman who did not want to go along with the program. Cohn's job was to set them up, then they would go along. Cole told me that himself. And that's from DeCamp. Or Cohn told me that himself. All right, well, that's fucking wild. All right, it's becoming routine in this article, but Cohn, a rabid anti-communist sadist, has also been tied to the CIA's fascist underground. Which, by the way, for those who aren't aware, Roy Cohn was, I believe, in many cases by Donald Trump, reported to be essentially a mentor, I believe, kind of some sort of figure along that. So that's interesting to say the least. Obviously, that's not conclusive in any way. According to a 1954 news report, Cohn and his aide David Sheen had met up with Spanish members of an international underground Nazi network while on a spy hunting trip in Europe. Some of the leading members of this network, according to the newspaper, were Colonel Otto Skorzenski, Hjalmar Scott, and Werner Naumann. It's hardly a secret these days that Skorzeny, a security consultant to Franco and Juan Perón after the war, was in touch with Nazi terrorists as Yves Guérin Serac and Stefano Del Shai. The only thing a bit odd about this report is that it speaks about a Nazi communist underground, implying that Naumann and his subversive friends would be interested in working with the Soviet Union in case they managed to overthrow the West German government. This might sound scary, but it's also ridiculous as the Nazis, including the post-war ones, were as anti-communist as they came. According to EIR, Cohn would later be found on the board of Permindex, a fascist intelligence-linked company that had been tied to the Kennedy assassination. Paul Bonacci, one of the victim witnesses in the Franklin affair, also clearly stated Larry King used him to blackmail operations in New York and Washington. The latter was in connection with activities of a close associate of Larry King, Craig Spence, who was involved in a prostitution ring consisting of underage boys that were supplied to Washington's upper class and went right up to the White House. Interestingly, it was Sun Myung Moon's Washington Times which first exposed the White House's prostitution scandal in 1989. Craig J. Spence, an enigmatic figure who threw glittery parties for key officials of the Reagan and Bush administrations, media stars, and top military officers, bugged the gatherings to compromise guests, provided cocaine, blackmailed some associates, and spent up to $20,000 a month on male prostitutes, according to friends, acquaintances, and records. Among the clients identified in hundreds of credit card vouchers obtained by the Washington Times and identified by male prostitutes and escort operators are government officials, locally based U.S. military officers, businessmen, lawyers, bankers, congressional aides, media representatives, and other professionals. Mr. Spence's influence appeared unlimited, aptly demonstrated by his ability to arrange midnight tours of the White House, according to 3 persons who said they took part in those tours. Several former associates said Spence's house on Wyoming Avenue, was bugged and had a secret two-way mirror that he attempted to ensnare visitors into compromising sexual encounters that he could then use as leverage. The man, a business associate of Mr. Spence, who was on the White House tour, said he was blackmailing people. He was taping people and blackmailing them. A businessman described Mr. Spence as strange, saying that he often boasted that he was working for the CIA. Mr. Spence told him the CIA might double-cross him, however, and kill him instead, and then to make it look like an unaliving. The businessman also said he attended a birthday bash for Roy Cohn at Mr. Spence's house. He said Mr. Casey was at the party, which is the former head of the CIA. A Washington Post article from that same day. During the past few weeks, Mr. Spence told several friends that the callboy operation was being investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office and other federal authorities as a possible CIA front. He told the friends that the CIA used the service to compromise other federal intelligence officials and foreign diplomats. One friend quoted him as saying, "Casey's boys are out to get me." During a lengthy interview at a Manhattan apartment in August, Mr. Spence frequently alluded to deep mysteries. All this stuff you've uncovered, including callboys, bribery, and the White House tours, to be honest with you, is insignificant compared to other things I've done. But I'm not going to tell you those things, and somehow the world will carry on. He also talked frequently of unaliving, saying repeatedly, "My life is over." He reserved deep bitterness for high-powered friends he said had forsaken him. I've had the world at my house, and now they don't know who I am, he said. But they did come, didn't they? The scandal was first exposed in late June 1989, and by November 1989, Spence had unalived himself. A serious investigation never followed, and all records pertaining to the case had been sealed for many decades to come. One of the reporters involved in initially breaking the story explained he had been told that these records will eventually be unsealed, but not before there is a cold day in hell. Just as the 1986 Marano scandal, the ex-dossiers contain evidence that sexual blackmail operations, whoever is running them, are not limited to the United States. In 1996, X1 reported how the same activities have been going on in Brussels. Read and compare. Since I was 8 or 9 years old, Mitch, Nihul, would often enough take me with him and give me the assignment to hang around a certain customer. I liked doing that. I enjoyed seeing them shamble around, their efforts to stay out of my way unnoticed. I smiled when Mitch asked me to stand next to a customer and to make a picture. Now the customer reluctantly smiled and put a weak arm around my shoulder. The glances which were then exchanged between the one taking the picture and the customer were priceless. The customer knew he was trapped. In the night they had been the boss. Now they were prey. Too bad that most of them, once they knew they had been trapped, went to experiment even more during the night. In Brussels, there was a villa in which a room was set up with built-in cameras. Even in the 1970s, these cameras were so discreet that only the people who maintained them and the child prostitutes knew where they were located. Why did I had to get those guys clear in the picture? Why was I supposed to get them to hit me and brutally rape me? Why was regular stuff often not enough? Blackmail, the word that was never mentioned. I only started to really understand when I was 13, 14 years old. Contracts between the business milieu and the political world, contracts between businessmen amongst each other, fraud with subsidies or licenses, setting up fake firms, criminal contracts like arms trade, everything was possible. And it always ended with sex and kids. Pictures were taken in jest to keep both parties to their contracts. The men were brought to ideas by CP movies that were played at parties. The pimps also had another tactic. They invited a person who could be useful to them. They went to dine with him and took him after he'd been liquored up to a party. Men from the top layer of society are used to visiting or getting offered prostitutes. They usually knew that something like this would follow, and the prostitutes they would see upon entering would be slightly older girls, between 16 and 18 years old. More booze and cocaine would be supplied for ambiance, and only then the play would be taken to a room where a younger girl was waiting, like me then. Most men probably realized only afterwards in what kind of hornet's nest they now found themselves, but by then it was far too late. Men were introduced to the network by colleagues, friends, or family members. Carefully or slowly or briskly after a party. Step-by-step customers who first went to bed with me cautiously were stimulated to rougher stuff. I was forced to help them with that. They became complicit, and at the same time, their mutual connections became tighter. Not one of these people was still inclined to sign contracts with individuals outside the network. If that happened, one could make them pay dearly for that. To summarize, extreme sadomasochist obsessions combined with blackmail appear to be the most obvious reasons for the existence of the abuse networks. Judging by some of the names, the extreme abuse often almost seems like the ultimate admission test for some aspect of what senior BCCI officials once termed the Black Network. Another frequently mentioned reason for the existence and protection of these high-level child abuse networks is mind control research with a specific focus on DID. Back in the 1970s, the CIA's past mind control programs were exposed, but apparently by that time, the agency had already transferred these programs to child-abusing cults. Even if the research itself was not exported to other countries, it's still clear that X1's pimp, Tony, knew exactly how to deal with X1 when her dissociative identities began to manifest. Question is, who educated him? All right, November 2009 update. It might be interesting to read a newer ISGP's article that quite clearly traces the sexual entrapment operations in Belgium to a CIA MKUltra subproject probably gone out of hand that began in the mid-1950s. And then to next time we continue our Dutroux reading, we will go on more on the satanic link and the biggest picture possible. All right, let's pop back over the chat, see what you guys have to say, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. All right, Jose, do a episode on how you coif your hair like that. It takes a lot of fucking with it. I don't know. It just kind of maybe I'm born like that. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But yeah, someone's saying ha ha ha. I don't know where your ha ha. Just sharpened my machete. Can you believe they sold me an unsharpened machete? No, I can't. That's wild. Well, all right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate everyone who joined me today. Show back up. I believe I'll probably be doing another one Monday. Next week, I'll be pretty much doing one Monday through Friday, except for Wednesday, because that's Christmas. That's weird. And we're not doing a morning stream on Christmas. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, probably won't be doing much aside from hanging out with the kids. Once we're done opening presents, I mean, I probably could do one. So maybe I will do one. It just seems kind of weird to do one on Christmas. So I'll probably just be chilling around the house, watching TV, hanging out with the family. So it seems like a family day. But I don't know. Maybe I'll carve off an hour and a half. We'll do that. Maybe. Probably not, though. But, yeah, I appreciate everyone who joined me today. If you want to support what I'm doing, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. I had Drew Tegley on last night. He's the director of the Jones Plantation. We talked a little bit about that. We kind of kicked around some fun at a thread someone made about him and the Jones Plantation, about how it's some secret satanic op. So it was just kind of a fun way to kind of kick around, like, when conspiracy theorizing goes too far. It's really the most extreme parody of when people are seeing patterns that aren't really there, or I don't know, jumping to conclusions. But we had a fun time. It was a good conversation. You should check that out. That'll be behind the paywall until next Friday. That's over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Like I said, that $2, that lowest level gives you those early episodes. The highest level, or not the high, but also at that low level, you're able to be a talking head on Already Dead, which is my weekly live stream show that I do with Austin on Tuesdays at 9:30. Yeah, if you like, I mean, God, I'm such a brain fart right now. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is the highest level of my Patreon is my sponsors. I read them off every episode as a thank you. I'm my co-host on Tarragang at Tarragang Toad. I also have at AbrogateDees, at ZOVERACK, at _Infinite Zeal, Jacob Daniel, the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. You can follow him at Biblical Anarchy. Then Tim Tuttle, you can follow him at Jolly on Klebold. Then Will Bell, who makes this delicious blueberry rabbit eye wine. Then a big fan of the show at Real Josh Elliott. Then another fan of the show, Torin May. I appreciate you guys for sponsoring the show, making this thing what it is, and hopefully more to come. I'd like to see in the next year. It'd be cool if I could do this like full time, man. I'd be see the type of shit I could turn out for you guys. But yeah, tune in. Monday, I think Raven should be joining us. Tuesday, we'll have another Already Dead. And we'll be doing some more stuff next week. See whatever craziness brings us in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. That really does help a lot. It says thank you for entertaining me while I do dishes and laundry. No problem, Robin. Have a good weekend. You too, Tyler. Thanks, Jose. Later, y'all. But yeah, make sure you're sharing this stuff around, getting the word about. And yeah, love you all. Deuces.